All right, so another week. Time to share some of my perspectives and thoughts on the week with things that are happening in the world right now. It's always, I think, good to get updates on how things are going and just more touch points. So this week, two thoughts that I want to share. So thought number one has to do with what I'm going to call a war that I see being waged that is not noticed a lot. I don't think people see this war occurring. I think if they really knew that there was a war occurring, they may not engage in that war. And we're still going to take a high level view of the war that's happening and then try and break it down to a more individual or family level of the war. So the war that I see being waged in I'm going to call it the social media world or media world in general, is the war between reality and hope. And the way I see it occurring is that if I'm an individual who looks at people who are trying to find hope as not seeing reality, I feel the need to educate them, push them, invite them into seeing reality. So I push reality. And the world that has a tendency to want to see more of the hope side of things, they feel this strong need to then push me, or invite me into seeing hope. For example, you see a post that might say, how come we're talking about all the bad things that are happening? Here's the good things that are happening, and back and forth. And what we don't realize is that is a war that is waged internally all the time. We are all living in that internal struggle that has existed probably forever. I don't know, but I think the internal struggle with that war gets manifested in an external way. I recently wrote an article about living within the paradox, and one of the examples that I used in living in the paradox is this paradox of hope and reality. I use the term paradox to describe a kind of two sides that are non-resolvable. You can't fix them. You also can't find balance. So there is no fix and there is no balance. You have to learn to live within the paradox. There is no resolution. Living within the paradox is the resolution. And the challenge can be that depending on what side I have a tendency toward, may be global or it may just be contextual. There may be certain times when that side is stronger than others. And when we break it down to the family level, right, as parents, as caregivers, the recognizing that sometimes we do lean a little bit heavier in one way or the other, depending on sometimes our personality or whatever else. And practicing learning how to live with the side that is more uncomfortable for me in order to live within the paradox. So living within the side that's more uncomfortable isn't the solution, but it can help me live within the paradox so that I can have both of those worlds existing, because they're both necessary. I have to see reality, right? But I also have to be able to live within the world of hope as well. And if I live always within the world of hope, I need to live within the world of reality. So there is no balance, there is no fix. We learn to live within the paradox, which is very uncomfortable for us. Number two, just one of the group topics we talked about in group therapy this week in my group, and that is the idea that if I'm the sender of information, I did not. What I'm about to share, I did not create myself. You can look up where this concept comes from yourself, where I got it from, but it's applied to a different context than I apply it to within the setting of the kids that I work with, and the population that I work with that need this information for the same reason, but also a different reason. And that is, if I'm the sender of information, my primary responsibility is to focus on the impact that my information, my sending has on the recipient. And if I'm the receiver of information, that there's a lot of benefit in focusing on the intention of the sender. and practicing doing that in our daily lives, right? A lot of times we like to say, well, I just tell it how it is and people can just deal with it. Or we think the negatively about other people that are giving us information without examining their intentions or what else might be behind it. And helping the students practice that skill within the context of their group, but also hopefully to carry that skill with them. Because it takes practice. So you have to learn how to consistently be able to do that. You never, the reason I like it is because you never really reach an end. You never get mastery, if you will, of really being able to see the impact and being able to understand the receiver's and the sender's intention. So if I'm the sender of information, I'm focused on the impact that my sending of my information has, my way of being has on the other person. And if I'm the receiver, I focus on the intention of the person that I am receiving information from and trying to understand where they're coming from. We talked about how there are obviously extremes where this doesn't work. So this is very much a way of interacting within the bell curve of the interactions that we have in our lives. So that's it. Have a wonderful week. Appreciate you all. The group continues to do well. Got some great weather coming our way. Fingers crossed. They're hoping today to peak one of the mountains out there. We'll see. It might be a little bit muddy. They may not go, but I think they're definitely planning to attempt that, and I'm excited for them. I'm sure the group will be looking forward to that. But they're doing great, and love the young people that we get to work with, and I appreciate you as parents and the sacrifices you're making, and understand the anxieties that are going through you right now for a variety of reasons. And we'll continue to keep your kids safe. Have a great week.